Good evening, friends. Many thanks to Claire Lewis Bell and Scotiabank for inviting me to participate in this conversation. I join you from Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral and unceded traditional territory of the Mi'kmaq people. This territory is covered by the treaties of peace and friendship, which Mi'kmaq and Maliseet people first signed with the British Crown in 1725, establishing the rules for what was to be an ongoing relationship between nations. I also acknowledge the histories, contributions, and legacies of the African Nova Scotian people who have shared these lands for over 400 years, based mainly from 52 historic communities. Nova Scotia is also the first place in Canada where Jamaicans arrived, the Trelawney Maroons in 1796. So I bring you greetings on behalf of President Ollie Phillips and the members of the Jamaican Cultural Association of Nova Scotia. My perspective in reflecting on the Jamaican woman, her centering, is coming from a perspective of one who has lived most of my life in Jamaica, serving in pastoral ministry, ecumenical and interfaith relations, education, and community development. I've also spent time in the UK working as a missionary and researching race relations and Black identity in the church. A year's sabbatical at the historic Black Seminary in the United States, the Interdenominational Theological Center, and my current stint in Canada all inform my ideas and have provided insights into the Jamaican woman who remains Jamaican, whether in Jamaica or in the diaspora. From my research, experience, and observations, there is a centrality of African roots in the Jamaican woman's religious and spiritual practices. In spite of racism, colonialism, mental slavery, the African roots remain persistent, mixed with Indian, Chinese, European, and other cultural influences that have shaped Jamaica. These African roots manifest in obvious ways through revivalism, Rastafari, and Black liturgical aspects of Euro-American Christian traditions. The cadences of Black preaching, the sounds of the drums and African Jamaican rhythms in church music can be heard in Roman Catholic, Anglican, United Church, Methodist, Pentecostal, and other denominations. Another aspect of African sensibility is seen in the integration of spirituality in all aspects of life. One example is the Rastafari musicians, where the way of life or livity is expressed in daily practices such as diet and in the lyrics of the music that they offer commercially as a way of earning a living. Truly, in personal and public arenas, as Peter Tosh sang, Jah is my keeper. At a personal level and in the home, women and men have instituted rituals such as family prayers and actions to ward off evil. African values have been expressed in ethical practices to strengthen community and teach respect for others. Many families have stories of a mother or a grandmother insisting that a beggar who comes to the house be given a drink of water in the best vessel that the house possesses. For many have entertained angels unawares. Many families have stories of being sent with extra fruits and maybe some Sunday dinner to a neighbor across the fence or down the road. And so we have many points of praise and progress. The late Reverend Dr. Hyacinth Booth, the first woman ordained by the Methodist Church in the Caribbean and the Americas, in a 1980s sermon entitled Theology of the Barnyard, People Protesting Jeremiah, and a New Theology, a Different Hermeneutic, finds in the revivalist barnyard much that speaks of praise and progress. Booth calls for the traditional denominations to emulate the characteristics of the barnyard and promote the perspectives of the marginalized grassroots religion. The barnyard, a religious space used by Jamaicans of African descent for traditional healing rituals, includes aspects such as being egalitarian. All are welcomed. Whether folks are mentally ill, poor, in any condition, you are welcomed in the barnyard. The barnyard is a communal space, a space of deep spirituality, and from Booth's perspective, is the religious expression in Jamaica that most closely resembles the community immediately following Pentecost. The leaders in the barnyard include the mother, who did not support the status quo's version of religion, but provided for the poor and the dispossessed a spirituality that was culturally appropriate, sustaining a sense of community. I call us finally to action. And this call to action is for us to embrace interfaith dialogue and action for human flourishing. I call this Nanish theology because I have to use the Jamaican language. And for me, this is based on a national consensus about Nanny of the Maroons, Jamaica's only national heroine, described by Dr. Carolyn Cooper as the quintessential Jamaican woman. Nanny of the Maroons is the collective ancestral mother and icon of womanhood in Jamaica. She's lauded not only through national recognition, but in the culture. For example, in a poem, Jamaican Woman, by Louise Bennett, and a poem by Lorna Goodison. She's lauded by women of different religions, such as Imani Tafari Ama, a Rastafari woman who in her article entitled Rasta Woman as Rebel, Case Studies in Jamaica, made the claim that the lioness spirit of the Rasta woman is a continuation of the militancy of Nani. An Islamic scholar, Sultana Afraz, in her article, The Manifestation of Tawhid, the Muslim heritage of the Maroons in Jamaica, claims that the liberation values of the Maroons and the equality in leadership exhibited by both genders is based on a common Islamic faith, embraced by the early Maroon communities. From all angles, Nani is seen to represent the best of the qualities valued in Jamaican women. These qualities include a concept of mothering that is not simply biological, but involves the nurture of the entire community. There's equality with men in the leadership of the struggle for liberation and self-determination, and many other aspects. And so I invite us all now to say the names of our women ancestors who have inspired us, who have provided us with examples of resilience, Nanny of the Maroons, Sister Minnie Phillips, who worked for the return of the remains of an enslaved Jamaican woman to the motherland. Pastor Dassa Henry of Mount Zion Victory House of Prayer, healer and wise woman. The Reverend Dr. Hyacinth Booth, the first woman ordained by the Methodist Church in the Caribbean and the Americas. The Reverend Dr. Adeline Sessing White, the first woman ordained by the United Church in Jamaica and the Cayman Islands. Friends, I invite you to say the names of those women ancestors who have shaped us. Thank you.